Hi, I'm Anindita Mookerjee Sinha, presently heading the corporate communication for L&T's Metro Rail Hyderabad Limited, and of course, a communication professional with a work experience of more than 3 decades. And should I tell my age? Being a lady, why not? I'm 52. Why I'm saying this, it has a relevance. But before that, I must also introduce myself as a very proud member of DLC Club and DLC's Global Marketing, Digital and PR Committee for the Hyderabad chapter. Well, and the topic on which I'm going to speak today is mastering the art of communication. So that's exactly why I said that I will come back why I'm talking about my age. Trust me, what I have realized in my work of more than 3 decades and my life journey, which has crossed half the century, is communication, is the key aspect, the key topic, the key factor which can really make your day or break your day. Or what I have experienced is whatever I could make out of my career, my life, and whatever did not do really well is because of communication going bad and good. Who do we communicate the most? I feel it is us that we do, or rather, we should communicate the most, which many times we do not do, we cannot do. And when do communication start? If you really think about it, communication starts from the time you open your eyes in the morning till the time you go to bed. You get up, you communicate with yourself, you communicate with your mobile, you communicate with the Almighty, you step out of your room, you communicate with your family members, your domestic help, with the auto fellow who's waiting for you, the cab driver. Then you go to your office, you communicate with your colleagues. Trust me and think about it. A day in your life can go really well or really bad if the communication goes wrong. And when we talk about communication, we talk about leadership many times. The art of communication is the language of leadership. We all know and we should believe in it. And by saying that it is a leader should know communication, it does not really always mean that you have to be a corporate leader or you have to be an entrepreneur. You're owning a business, only there you need to learn communication. No, for me, leadership means whatever you do, you start doing with conviction. You are the leader there itself. You yourself, you make yourself into a leader. So to be a successful leader, to lead something successfully, a project or a vertical, or why not even when you're just cooking a new dish or the first stroke on the canvas, communication should be extremely strong. And when I say strong, for me, an effective and strong communication is a blend of art and science. You should be clinical, strategic, and you should be very creative. And it cannot go in one flow. It has to be fluid and customized as per the audience, as per the necessity, the need of that particular time or the work what you're doing. So it is very important that we learn to communicate well. Now, communication should first start with yourself. And as we say, that communication works for those who work at it. We should work on our communication skills. And this, as a religion, as a practice, we should do it. We should practice every single day. Why can't we just look at the mirror and talk to ourselves, thinking the other person, the reflection, is the client? Why can't we just tape our conversation? Why can't we just think that we are talking to ourselves as the other person, the client or a customer who we are talking to? Which means that understanding the perspective of the other person. As we say, communication should be hot, which means honest, open and two-way. A communication can never be successful if it is not catering to each other's psyche, each other's temperament, each other's mindset, emotion, and we don't understand each other. It has to be both ways. We have to understand the perspective. For this, to master this communication style, the effectiveness, the success, a lot of introspection should be done. I strongly recommend as a communication professional. You need to understand yourself, you need to understand the mindset, the emotion, the psychology of the people with who you interact. And trust me, our personal life has a lot of manifestation on our professional life. The way we communicate at home may not be the style that we carry forward in the office, but our mindset changes a lot while we are communicating at home. That is the reason why we say that we should not carry our tension or stress from home to office and the other way. We have to be a very transparent and honest communicator even at home. If we can do that, definitely our communication will be much better at a professional level. And we can carry forward that emotional connect. Shouldn't we connect emotionally with our office colleagues, our team members? Why not? Because empathy in communication is very, very important. Understanding each other's emotion, it is very, very important. Unless we do that, we cannot see the bigger picture, the larger picture. Because when we are communicating, we should not just think about that moment or that particular work, what you're doing, or the presentation, or the project, whatever. Why think temporarily? We have to think as a permanent relationship and bonding. And that is the reason our emotional connect with the person we are communicating, it is very important. Second is civility in communication, manners, the way we are speaking. When we say we should treat someone as we want them to treat us, we should communicate with the person the way we want them to communicate with us. And if the civility, especially in the profession, also again, I will say at home with our family members or our friends, civility should prevail. If civility is not there, then something is wrong in our mindset, in our concept. Communicators, rather, I would say, should be very good storytellers. And storytelling in communication is very successful. It can be successful when you are credible. You believe in what you are saying. You believe in your action. We should, through our communication, create a shared value among our stakeholders. And communication, when I say it's a science, which I said is a blend of art and science, we are here talking about verbal communication, written communication, visual communication. And trust me, if we think that verbal communication is most important and we do maximum, part of the day it's involved, trust me, 60 to 80% of our communication is non-verbal communication. Very important. Facial expression, body movement, how we carry ourselves, how we have groomed ourselves, how are we talking? Is there a smile on the face or is there a frown? Am I fidgeting with my hands? Am I tapping my feet on the ground? My body language should not show nervousness. So what happens typically, the other person sitting in front of you, either the person does not take you seriously or maybe don't feel very confident about what you're saying, and the confidence level goes down. Facial expression, body movement, kinesics, proxemics, paralanguage, interpersonal communication. The distance, it's actually a science. It's not that easy. If we can slowly understand them, study them well. As a leader, a very important aspect of communication is one should own a communication. So when you are communicating, do not go back. Stand by your communication. Owning communication, especially during crisis, is very, very important. Let me go back a little bit as I was explaining my journey. My journey did not start as a communication professional. I was in the Department of Operations of a public sector undertaking called Airports Authority of India. In operations, we had to communicate with passengers. We had to make some flight announcements. We had to do other, jobs. There, I understood and I realized that when I am announcing about a flight, I am not being able to see the passengers around me because there's some sort of a studio from where we used to run and go some flight announcements. Through our announcements, if there is a flight delay, for example, how we communicate, it can impact the mind of the passengers. How to bring the stress level down. So that was my first communication. Now, many people say that people are not born communicators. Well, I would say the first cry after your birth, you're communicating. So everyone, are born communicators. But how do we refine the communication? That is only when we really try to learn about communication. So after that, my love for communication started. Then, for some time, as a freelancer, since I was already working, I used to go and read news in a channel called In Mumbai for a very short period. So that taught me, of course, ages back, but that taught me, or the producer taught me, that you may be looking at the camera and communicating, speaking, but actually you're communicating with the audience of the channel, of the viewership. The people who are looking at you through your facial expression. Suppose you're reading out a political, some incident. There should be a very straight face without your expression being very meaningful to the audience that you have an affiliation for a particular political party. That was a big no-no. When, suppose you are reading out a sad demise, definitely the smile on your face should not be as radiant as it should when you're announcing a very good news or a breaking news, something positive. So that was a very good communication lesson which I learned. So why I'm saying these are, because through communication, even if you don't see the audience, it becomes very important for you to understand what you are speaking, with what sentiment are you speaking, and how people can perceive you, and not only you, but the content of that communication. Many people told me, many students come and say that, ma'am, I'm not good at English. How do I improve my communication skill? Again, you need not be a very good English speaking communicator. Language will come later. Your English is not really required everywhere. I know, being a Bong, we have some typical accents. I have seen people with very typical Bong accent or any other community. I will speak about my community. Or rather, why don't we take the reference of Mr. Pranav Mukherjee? Who doesn't know him? He never ever tried to adopt some accent. He spoke in a very fluid, lucid Bong accent. So basically, it is not the accent or the language every time, but the content what you're speaking. Again, you have to be the master of the content. Unless you know your job well, you cannot be a good communicator. For that, there lies the proper education. You should be a subject matter expert to communicate to the audience very confidently. The subject should be just like the back of your hand when you're communicating. Another very important exercise or experience of mine, whatever you can say about communication, is dealing with crisis communication. I was the spokesperson for Mumbai Airport in the year 2011, and that year, uh, fortunately for my experience, and unfortunately for the incidents what had happened, there were 2 3 major crises. The airport had a shutdown, there was some shifting of a some installation. Trust me, in crisis, the communication strategy what I learned is, again, as I said, it should be very honest, very transparent, and not making a fool of the audience. Never ever feel or even try to think that the people in front of you are really fools or they don't know the subject well. I'm sorry for using the term fool. And for that, as George Bernard Shaw has said, the biggest illusion about communication is the illusion that it has taken place. We really don't understand that we have already said something which could, just break a deal or make a deal. So we should understand, or rather, master the art of saying what should not be said. So, more important than what should be communicated, one should master the art of what should not be communicated. Very, very important. Unless we learn what not to say, we cannot be confident on what we should say. And communication, my dear friends, just does not end at the with the last word of your speech. Communication creates a bond. It is much beyond than what you are speaking, or it's much beyond what you are creating at that point of time. You may be creating a very business account, or you may be creating a business deal, but you, with your effective communication, with your strategic communication, with your empathetic communication, with your civility in communication, what you are doing exactly here is you are bonding, you are creating a relationship. And in today's date, that's exactly what we should do, create relationship. So, as a sum up to what I said, a few tips again. If you want to be a good communicator, communicate with yourself. Do a lot of introspection, self introspection. Try to be very, very civil while you're communicating. Bring the emotional and empathy quotient into it. Master the art of storytelling. Create a shared value among stakeholders through your communication. Own your communication. Be very aware of your non-verbal communication aspect. Choose the right word. Be relevant. Be concise. Be correct. Be credible. Be creative. With this, I would really want everyone to grow an interest in communication and treat it as a science and art, blend both for that magical effect. One very important point I would like to make here is, which I missed out, always try to get a feedback from your communication. Getting a feedback with an open mind only improves your communication style and the content of communication. Thank you so much, and I really, really thank DLC for this opportunity. Looking forward to make DLC's global marketing, digital, and peer committee, and especially this Hyderabad chapter, very strong. Thank you.